about 2,500 Nigerian engineers and architects and artisans that will also benefit not only from the employment, but also being exposed to those world-class construction techniques, real innovative construction using new materials, using green technology to really build out our buildings. And so we're very, very, very excited about that opportunity in partnering with the Nigerian partners, with Nigerian employees, to really build a world-class facility that will really serve this relationship for decades to come.
I like that you're giving me specifics in terms of numbers. I really like that, at least since the start of this interview. I'm really interested in the kind of direct jobs, because when I saw the news, I was like, okay, how is this really going to filter through the locals, perhaps in the construction industry in Lagos that may be part of this construction? And I like that you've given me that in terms of engineers. Are those engineers going to also be local? Would we see a mix of perhaps U.S. engineers and the Nigerian engineers? I would also want to know who the specific contractors for this building will be, and perhaps when this building will be completed.
Sure. Well, we've just started really the construction. I mean, the groundbreaking really just started right after our ceremony, and so I know that the construction partner Pernex from Illinois is really engaged in identifying those local suppliers, identifying all of the employees that are going to be part of the project. I think also what's really interesting, as you pointed out, Nancy, is this nexus and this transfer between American construction partners, American employees, and Nigerian employees. So there'll be some transfer of those techniques of how to build buildings in the American style that we do. In addition, they'll be exposed to a lot of safety training. Everyone who works at our site has to go through safety training. We take safety very, very, very seriously. So they'll be exposed to that, and they'll be exposed also, as I mentioned earlier, to these innovative American construction techniques. The campus is very big. It's going to be over 5 hectares of land. The chancery will be about 14,000 square feet, which is really big, 10-story building. In addition to that, there will be support buildings around that will have an additional 19,000 square feet. It is the only consulate in the world that will also have a boat dock. And that will be a real interesting way to come to work as well for the consulate employees. Okay,
fantastic that you've really said that. I don't know if this next question is relevant, but I should ask it. And why I'm saying if this next question is relevant is because of this news about $537 million U.S. consulate building. And the question is, how would you describe Nigeria-American bilateral relationship now? That's why I said, if the question is really relevant.
Direct connection between our investment and really the strength of the relationship across all of our different sectors, health, education, economy. We are very much involved with Nigerian partners, the Nigerian government, with local business partners in this deeper relationship. There are many American companies here. We have a foreign commercial service that works full-time on trying to bridge the gap between American companies and the Nigerian government. Kimberly-Clark, for example, just opened a huge factory in a quarter that's going to employ hundreds, if not thousands, of people in making products for the Nigerian market. That is just one success story there. So we're really, really excited about this nexus and really deepening the relationship between the two countries.
Now, in terms of economic relations, Stephen, where is the U.S. supporting more? Where is the U.S. supporting Nigeria more? Is it agriculture? Is it in terms of entrepreneurs? Is it in terms of youth inclusion? Is it in terms of women? What sector is the U.S. skewed to more?
Well, I would say it's all of the above. As I said, we have the foreign commercial service that works with American companies that want to do business in Nigeria, but they also work with Nigerian companies that want to do business in the United States. We also have the Foreign Agricultural Service here that really works full-time on imports to Nigeria as well as Nigerian exports, and working with Nigerian companies to meet those standards, those high standards that we have for food products, for unadulterated products, for example, that are exported to the United States. One great success story that we have is the Ukun dairy farm, where we have many American cows producing over 10,000 liters of milk for this dairy farm, and that is just a great success story. We actually call them the flying dairy cows because we ship them by air to Nigeria. That was the best way to ensure the safety of the animals, and so they were actually flown. I don't know what class they were in. I don't know if they were in business or in economy, but they were certainly flown to Nigeria, and that farm is doing very well. That is a direct result of the work that our colleagues at the Foreign Agricultural Service do. They work on chicken feed, they work on the poultry market. They've also talked about different types of crops that they're introducing to Nigeria, stronger crops that can withstand heat or withstand extreme conditions, and all of that is a great investment for Nigeria and its people.
Stephen, is there any other support that the U.S. mission is lending to Nigeria across, I know what you just said is the agri sector, the food industry. Is there any other kind of support? Since Nigeria is largely an agrarian society, we have so many natural or food resources, but we're still in the primary stage. We're talking about processing and all of that. How does the U.S. mission support the food industry and the agribusiness value chain in Nigeria?
Well, no, great question, Nancy. Again, as I said, the Foreign Agricultural Service really works with a lot of Nigerian partners in really what their needs are, whether that's introducing crops, whether that's exporting to the U.S., whether that's American companies exporting to Nigeria. We work on all of those different sectors. You mentioned women. That's another big area for us in women's empowerment, women's entrepreneurship, because if you look at the data, if you look at statistics, and I know you were talking about sort of statistics right before I came on, when women do better, women invest in their families, they invest in their kids, the country be stronger. And so since 2019, we have started a program called the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs. We're really taking through some standards about how to develop their businesses, how to grow their businesses. So far, we've had about 520 graduates who are doing business across many different sectors. There are women running security firms. There are women running automobile body part shops, for example, in addition to cosmetics, beauty products, food, spices. It really cuts across many sectors, and we see even women now getting funding from United States institutions like the Africa Development Fund. Some have even gotten funding from Nigerian sources like the Bank of Industry, for example. So we're really proud of our entrepreneurs. We're really proud of our graduates because they are really making a difference in their communities and in their local societies as well.
Now, I'm glad that you talked about the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs. That's the AWE program, which is a women-focused program. What is the selection process for those women, for those that are listening right now? What's the selection process? Are there specific business or entrepreneurship sectors that you're most interested in?
Well, we welcome really all women that either have a business idea or have a business that's already started or already going, and it's really quite an open selection. It's just for women from age 18 to 45. And they have to be a little bit computer literate, be able to, just to use a computer, use the internet, and they have to be able to dedicate at least 5 hours a week towards this program, which is run with our wonderful partner, Ascend Studios. This program is incredibly popular. We saw over 15,000 applications for our program that just closed a few weeks ago. It is an annual program, so there will be a call for applications, next March and April. But this is for 250 slots. We had 15,700 applications, and we go through each and every application. There are teams that go through, take an initial, and then another team that really boils it down to 250 women that participate in the program. And one of the benefits is not only women learning how to grow their businesses, how to export to the United States, how to market their products, but it creates a network in and of themselves. And you see a lot of these women in these groups supporting each other. They actually just founded an alumni association. One of the benefits is that they become U.S. government alumni, and we really focus in on our alumni, do events with them, we fund some of their projects, we have them, they're applicable to, or they're able to apply for grant money, not only from the U.S. Consulate and Mission Nigeria, but also from the Africa Development Fund, for example, and other funds that are available to them. And so we're really proud of the work that they do, and they work very, very, very hard. Last year, we actually had a few slots for women who were victims of trafficking. And so, one of our goals in Mission Nigeria is also to work with underserved communities, or communities that maybe just don't have access to the resources that other communities might. And so we were very, very proud to see some of these women doing really, really well, who really had struggled and had a lot of challenges and were returned, recently to Nigeria.
Okay, if we're talking about seed funding, can you give me an idea of how much this is, especially for women that, pass the criteria, the 250 women eventually? Is there a minimum of seed funding, and is there a maximum? I would like to know what the amount is.
It really depends. The Africa Development Fund does grants from 10,000 to 25,000 usually to help women start their businesses. On the Nigerian side, I think probably Nigerian officials would be better placed to talk about sort of their limits of funding. But we've seen several women qualify for funding from the Bank of Industry, as I met, and some also Lagos state funding as well. And in addition to the grants, our grants range anywhere from $5,000 all the way up to $50,000, $75,000, depending on the project, depending on really what we're looking for. So there is funding available, but really the idea is to have these women who have these businesses really be independent and be able to generate a profit, invest in their communities, grow their businesses, and some of them become household names. So we're really, really proud of really the work that they have done in growing their businesses and also supporting their communities as a result.
Okay, are there any follow-up activities to monitor the progress of participants at this AWE program, Academy for Women Entrepreneurs program? Are there any activities or follow-up to ensure their progress, or is it just about, okay, if you're able to pass, you do that, we just leave you with this other women?
Well, I think there's always follow-up, Nancy, and I think that's really the strength of the Consulate, is we really care about our alumni. They become alumni, and so we often have alumni engagements. When we have receptions, when we have events at the Consulate, we always invite our alumni. Last year we had a special reception with our Consul General with the association, or the Alumni Association of the Academy of Women Entrepreneurs. They have their own board, their own steering committee. They've gotten funding to do some events as well. So we keep in very, very close contact, not only with our Academy for Women Entrepreneurs alumni, but really alumni across the board, whether that's the Mandela Washington Fellowship or YALI, our Fulbright alumni. We were actually just in Uyo last week for the 16th annual Fulbright Alumni Association Conference, which we also helped to fund, that bring Fulbright from all over the country to specific cities that change every year. And so we really invest in our alumni. We have invested in our alumni through these programs, and so we don't want to lose that connection. So if you look at any university across this country, you will find Fulbright alumni. If you look across any kind of NGO or any kind of organization, chances are you will find a U.S. government exchange alumni as well. Because we invest in them, and because they have also started their own associations as well, that they keep a close connection to the U.S. Consulate, and we work together on our policy goals, whether that's, again, women empowerment, whether that's health education, whether that's promoting vaccines for COVID, against sort of vaccine hesitancy that some people may have. So the breadth of this is really quite broad. We're very, very proud of it.
Stephen, I want to say thank you very much for joining us today. It's been so nice speaking with you, at least getting more insights on not just the $537 million new consulate building, which we expect to be concluded in the next few years, and what the U.S. is doing to support Nigerian women. So thank you, Stephen. I hope to talk to you guys soon, and we'll continue to monitor the progress of the new consulate. Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks so much, Nancy. Happy to come back anytime to talk about all of our wonderful initiatives throughout Nigeria.
Thank you. I'll be happy to host you again. All right, I'll be speaking with the U.S. Consulate Public Affairs Officer, Stephen Obele. We've been talking about the $537 million US dollars new consulate construction, as well as the women program called the AWE program, the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs. So, like you heard it there, 15,000 apply, 250 will be chosen. It's done annually, so if you're a woman that is watching and you're interested, just, fasten your seatbelt and wait for next year. Let's quickly take a break, and when we come back from the break, I'll be giving you an update on the IMF and World Bank spring meeting currently going on in Washington, D.C. We'll be right back.
If we are to move in a world where we have separate cross-border payment systems for different blocks of countries, different reserves compositions, less trade, we know that this would be a poorer world. And when we look at this year, next year, we recognize that this is all in a context of extreme uncertainty. The war may get worse, the sanctions can tighten up, COVID may run again around the world, and we know that we can have shocks that cause failure of crops. So for policymakers, tough time, and this is why this week is so important for us to come on the same page.
That's right.
And I know that you look at the same world with much more focus on low-income countries. And I would be very interested to get into how you see food, fuel, pressures on low-income countries building up.
They are building, and the connection is direct, because for poorer countries and for people for poor people, they spend more of their income on food, and so the price increases really hit them. So I think the world really needs to focus on both the economic side of it. Of course, we hope for peace, for ways that the war can be stopped, and that some of these crises can be alleviated. But while they're occurring, I think it's critical that we focus also on more supply. I'm concerned by the forecast that you've cited, and we're looking at in the same way.
That was David Malpass, the World Bank President, and Kristalina Gugevia, who is the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund. I did tell you earlier that this week the two Bretton Woods institutions are having their 2022 spring meeting, the World Bank and the IMF having their spring meetings, which is hybrid. The two institutions have disclosed their projections for the world economy. The World Bank President David Malpass said on Monday that the World Bank has cut its global growth forecast for 2022 to 3.2% from 4.1% due to the impacts from Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Malpass also revealed reveals that the World Bank is responding to the added economic stresses from the war by proposing a new 15-month crisis financing target of $170 billion with a goal to commit about $50 billion of this financing over the next 3 months. The plan follows on from a World Bank $160 billion COVID-19 financing program. I hope you've not forgotten that happened in 2020. I think Nigeria also got some monies from it. The IMF also gave, I think, Nigeria $3.4 billion. There was also the SDI there, but that's a story for another day. And MOPA said that $157 billion was committed through June 2021 of that COVID fund. The World Bank also said the financing, partly that's this $170 billion financing, will support countries that have taken in refugees from Ukraine and will also help address problems in countries affected by food shortages. Forecasts also are being cut for advanced and many developing economies because of spikes in food and energy prices caused by war-related supply disruptions. MOPA said the World Bank and IMF member countries this week will be discussing new assistance for Ukraine and expect specific commitments to be announced by a number of donor countries. Now, if you take a look at the International Monetary Fund, it is saying on Tuesday it cut its global growth projections for 2022 and 2023, saying the economic heat from Russia's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine will propagate far and wide. The Washington-based institution is now projecting a 3.6% GDP rate for the global economy this year and for 2023. The IMF also disclosed that the economic penalties on Russia will have a severe impact on Russia's economy, which it estimated that the country's GDP will fall by 8.5% this year and by 2.3% in 2022, while Ukraine's economy will fall 35%. That's huge because of the war. The International Monetary Fund has raised Nigeria's 2020 economic growth forecast because people will be like, okay, all this French and English nicely speaking. What is the IMF saying about Nigeria? The IMF has raised our forecast from 2.7% it had previously estimated to 3.4%. Additionally, the fund reviewed upward the country's 2023 growth forecast from 2.7% to 3.1%. The IMF noted that the non-oil sector, take note, the non-oil sector is a driver in increasing Nigeria's growth prospect, noting that globally only 86% of countries saw a downward revision of its growth projection. It indicated that Nigeria is among 14% of countries that had been estimated to record growth. So that's good news on one part, that Nigeria is among 14% of countries that will record growth this year, and they are looking at the non-oil sector that includes agriculture, services and all that, not crude oil, for crying out loud, not crude oil again. And if you're talking about crude oil price is over $100 US, yet we are not getting any gains from it. Why? Because of subsidy payments. The National Assembly just approved for Mr. President 4 trillion naira in subsidy payments. 4 trillion. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 trillion naira. That is in fact, anyway, I think that should be a topic for another day. That should really be a topic for another day, because if you take a look at even the capital expenditure for some sectors, let's say health and all of that, what can that 4 trillion naira do for us? As Nigerians, do we really want to have the conversation about what is subsidy doing or what has it done? Should we take it off? There's the other part of the conversation about the transparency of subsidy. How many liters of fuel do we really consume as Nigerians at a time when the former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Alison Maduke was there. I know that she told us then that we're consuming about 30 million liters, it grew to 35, then to 50, then now 60, then we have 90 million liters. Come on, even though our population is growing, there is justification for that. So we also need to interrogate the transparency of the subsidy payment. There's another school of thought: we can still pay subsidy if we review how subsidy is being paid and how much, that if we really review it, we will not be paying up to 4 trillion naira. So, like I said earlier, that's a topic for another day. But the question right now is that the Nigerian government is saying we're not making so much revenue. Others are saying we are making good revenue, but we have a spending problem. All right, let's go ahead with the program. As a part of its policies of creating a paradigm shift among undergraduates and graduates of Nigerian universities and polytechnics from seeking white-collar jobs to entrepreneurship development, which has led to the introduction of the tertiary institutions entrepreneurship scheme by the Central Bank of Nigeria. The second pitch competition, which commenced in Abuja with 30 universities and polytechnics vying for the top 5 positions. Emmanuel Aldo, our correspondent, reports that the 5 best among the competitors will receive a total of 900 million naira. Let's check out how that went down. And that's it for me today. I'll see you all again tomorrow. Yeah, be the best you can be. But that change that you want to see. I am Nancy Naji. Over to you guys.
In November 2021, the sibling governor, Godwin Emefiele, formally launched the bank's 500 million tertiary institution entrepreneurship scheme to boost entrepreneurship in higher institutions. Emefiele, who also inaugurated the board of experts chaired by the group managing director and chief executive, Sterling Bank PLC, Abubakar Suleiman, among other professionals, who rank entrepreneurial presentation made by tertiary institutions under the developmental component of the scheme. He also said members of the body were professionals of impeccable standing, drawn from the academia, professional bodies, and industry, which will recommend projects with high potential and transformational impact for grants award. At the second stage pitch competition by 30 top regional shortlist.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as part of measures to promote entrepreneurship development among the graduate and undergraduate youth of the Nigerian polytechnics and universities, the CBN introduced the Tertiary Institutions Entrepreneurship Scheme in October 2021 with the release of the implementation guidelines and the opening of the portal for submission of applications. The scheme is aimed at providing an innovative financing model that will support the development of innovative entrepreneurial ideas among graduates and undergraduates of tertiary institutions in Nigeria. Today's official launch of the Tertiary Institutions Entrepreneurship Scheme and subsequent inauguration of the body of experts for the scheme's developmental component is a testimony of the important roles our youths play in building new blocks for economic growth, particularly as our national growth is highly dependent on a strong and competitive business. Bridging their financing gaps and enhancing access to low-cost credit to drive development of business is a task that can only be addressed by an innovative financing model that correlates with the complexity and dynamics of these small businesses. Let me state that this scheme was designed to address 3 verticals of the segment, and these are: 1, the term loan component, which provides direct credit opportunities to graduates of Nigerian polytechnics and universities of no more than 7 years post-graduation. An applicant, if successful, shall be eligible for a maximum of 5 million naira for an individual, sole proprietorship or small company, and a maximum of 25 million naira for a partnership or a company. The tenure for the facility is a maximum of 5 years with a 1-year moratorium and at an interest rate of 5% per annum, which shall revert to 9% by March 2022. The pilot phase of the scheme is presently being implemented through Bank of Industry with the development of an application portal and processing of submitted applications. 2. Equity Investment Program. This component is designed to support startups, existing businesses requiring expansion, and ailing businesses seeking resuscitation. The component shall be implemented under the bank's AXMIS equity window. Thus, the investment limit shall be subject to the limit prescribed by our AXMIS guidelines and investment period no more than 10 years. 3. Development grant component. This is aimed at raising awareness and visibility of entrepreneurship among undergraduates of Nigerian tertiary institutions. Here, polytechnics and universities in Nigeria shall compete in a national biennial entrepreneurship competition where undergraduates are presented by the tertiary institutions to pitch innovative entrepreneurial or technological ideas with transformational potential. 3 top institutions at the regional levels shall proceed to the national level, where the top 5 shall be awarded grants ranging between 120 million and 250 million naira. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is instructive to note that grant awards shall be used by the tertiary institutions solely for the development of the award-winning ideas. At this point, I wish to express my sincere gratitude to the body of experts comprising professionals of impeccable standing drawn from the academia, professional bodies, and industry. The body has been constituted to evaluate and rank entrepreneurial presentations made by tertiary institutions under the developmental grant component. More importantly, the body of experts shall recommend projects with high potential and transformational impact.
The chairman of the body of experts, Abubakar Suleiman, revealed that one of the